I'm Jim Gary at Batilipi's Workshop. Today is part 2 of showing how I remove the front flexible brake hoses on my 25-year-old workhorse-based motorhome. Flexible brake hoses can look fine on the outside but still fail, especially when they are as old as mine are. Because the motorhome has ABS brakes, there are extra flexible hoses that were hard to get to, but you'll see all that in the video. Just please be aware that I'm a biologist, not a professional mechanic, and I'm just showing you what I did, not what I think you should do. So please consult a professional before attempting similar projects. If you're interested, there are links to my other videos in the description below, including part 1 of removing the flexible brake hoses from my motorhome. So please like and subscribe. Now let's get on with the video. This is a simplified schematic of my motorhome. So the front is up here and the wheels are all here, the front left, front right, left rear, right rear. What I've done here is I've drawn the ABS module pretty big. It's way bigger than it would be, but I just had to do that so I could show the lines. And I also show the master cylinder, again, exaggerated in size. And what you'll see is that the ABS has a little bit of flexible line, and I've drawn the flexible parts of the line shown in dotted lines. So attached to the ABS, there's a flexible line, and then it becomes a hard line and goes to the master cylinder. And another one comes back from the master cylinder to the ABS, and it's connected with a little bit of flexible hose. So the way things work is when you press your brake pedal, it activates the master cylinder, of course, which pushes hydraulic fluid into the ABS. And the ABS has all kinds of complicated check valves and mechanisms in it. Plus, it's connected to each of the wheel speed indicators, so it tracks the wheel speed. And that's how it knows when you're braking right, when you might be about to go into a skid or something. So it can tell if it sees a difference in the speed from one side to the other of the vehicle. And coming from the ABS, the fluid then goes through, in this case, a flexible hose, then a hard hose. Then it ends, and then there's a second flexible hose that actually connects it to the front left wheel. A similar thing on the right front wheel. There's a little bit of flexible hose connecting it to the ABS, and the line goes over to near the right front wheel, and then a flexible hose attaches and goes there. For the rear wheel is the same thing. There's a little bit of flexible hose. There's solid hose that run all the way back, and there's a little bit of flexible hose. There's hard hose that just goes all the way to the right rear wheel and the left rear wheel. That's pretty much how it's all set. And my concern was, I thought I just had to replace this flexible hose down here, the flexible hose on the front left wheel, and the flexible hose on the front right wheel. Then I discovered these flexible hoses, and they all take just as much pressure, and they're all 25 years old. So these 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, to remove. And this is really hard to get at because it's underneath the engine on top of a cross member of the frame, and there's really not much space to get to it. So that's what we're going to be looking at now. I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but here's the ABS module. It's the metal to the right, and then you can see the 5 hoses coming out to the left. So I'm over by the front left wheel, and this is the flexible hose that goes to the wheel cylinder, and it connects up here to this hard line, and I cannot get that loose, so I'm going to end up having to cut that. But then this line goes back through here and down here, and it goes back to the ABS area. Then up here there's another line here that looks like it goes to the master cylinder. I've already removed the one that goes into the aft hole in the master cylinder, so this must go to the other hole, the forward hole in the master cylinder. There's only 2 inputs, so I'm going to try to get both of these out from the ABS. Up here are the much thicker connectors, and these, as well as a third up here, those all connect to the booster that we'll get to later, but those all contain hydraulic fluid from the steering pump, so those aren't brake fluid lines at all. So now I'm moving to where the front brake hoses connect to the ABS module. It's on top of a cross member below the engine. There's the front left brake pedal connection over here. So I'm going toward the center of the vehicle, and now I'm going to pop up. There's that torsion bar. Over the torsion bar, you can see all those, where all those hoses connect. It looks pretty crazy to me, but we'll see what can happen. But boy, it's going to be tough to get in there. There should be 5 hoses, and I think these are the 5 hoses. I mean, there's also some wires, and these wires apparently go to speed sensors out on each of the wheels. I've noticed there's wires that go out to each of the wheel hubs. The hose I'm taking out, I'm pointing to it with my finger, but you can probably just barely see it. This is a 9/16. It seems to be loose. I got it loose already. If I could just get my fingers in there. There she goes. Okay, so this is the one that goes, it's the closest aft one in the lowest position, and it goes to the left and straight to the master cylinder. So let me see if I can get it out. Yeah. So I've got it out, and I got it marked as number 1. So here's the brake line that I just took out. So this goes from the front, I think the master cylinder at this end, and this end went to that ABS unit. Let's get the rough length. About 9 inches, 12 inches, 20 inches, 26, about 28 inches long is what I've got. Roughly. I have the notes here with the sizes listed by Mill Supply that sells brake line kits for GM workhorses. I measured it, that's 1/4 inch, so it's 1/4 inch brake line. Then I looked at the ends, and the ends turned out to be, with my thread gauge, 18 gauge, but I wasn't sure, but I checked it on the web. If you actually look at this fitting, where the wrench fits is the same diameter as the threads. This was a 9/16 wrench that I used, so these have to be 9/16 by 18 threads. So the piece I've got is 1/4 inch metal hose. The fitting is 9/16 by 18 pitch on both ends, and it's roughly around 30 inches long altogether. None of the hoses in the Mill Supply Workhorse hose kit that I found matched this hose, so I'll have to have it made up in a hydraulic shop. So this line back here, where the wrench is aimed at, that is the flexible line that attaches to the flexible line that feeds the left front disc cylinder. And I obviously am not going to be able to get it from this angle. In the front here, there's a shield that I'm banging the wrench against. If I take that out, I should be able from the front to get a wrench in to get some of these out too. So that's what I'm going to do next. Those are 1/2 inch, and there's 4 bolts that come out. There's one here. They're on the other side though, but I can do that. So I'm going to do that next. Sorry about the noise, but my neighbor's mowing. So here's the bolt on this side. There's a shield up here that'll help me get to all these fittings from the other side. But I have to be careful because there's a fire ant nest right next to this concrete pad. See the fire ants scurrying around grabbing all the poison I put on their mound. If you don't live in the South, you're lucky not to have fire ants. Okay, one more bolt. Here's that member. Oh, it's plastic. Huh. Guess it just keeps dirt off the module. Okay, so I'm going to crawl back up there and see what I can see. Well, that's terrific. So I don't think it'll be any trouble getting all those out. Huh. I've been dreading this job, but it looks like it's not going to be too hard. So I do have to be careful because now my head's closer to the fire ants that I just found when wandering around. But I'm going to take this one off. This is the one that appears to be connected to that flexible hose.
way easier to reach. It's 9/16. There, it's loose. Oh, this is so easy. So some fluid will come out, but that is loose. And I'm going to label this number 2. So 2 is the forward top one. Now, let's see if I can get that out. I'll have to crawl out and do that. So here's the one I've called number 2 that I just pulled out. And I'm going to check the thread. And yes, it's 18. And I'm going to guess this is 9/16 as well. Yeah, it's 9/16. So the end that goes into the ABS, 9/16 by 18, 3/16. So we have 2 inches of steel. Then we have straight, it would be about 7 inches of flexible. And then I've got 3 inches turn, another 3 inches. These are both turns. And then there's obviously more turns here, but let's get a rough idea. It's 16 inches sort of straight, and then looks like it's 2 inches steel. This is the flexible hose, and I have a replacement for it, but I could not get this fitting loose no matter how hard I tried while it was on the vehicle. So I had to cut it, but I can see it's a much smaller thread size. So I'm going to see if I can get that off so we can figure that out. So here's the original flexible hose, and here's where I cut it off, and this is the replacement, and it's pretty much the same. All matches. It's definitely not 18. I didn't think it was. So it's 24. So it's 3/8 by 24. Female. So this line here, hope you can see it, is the one that goes to the master cylinder. So that's easy enough. So this is the forwardmost bottom line. So I'm going to get that out. And it looks like there's only 2 more to go. One is a 3/16 line. I'm going to guess that goes to the other side of the front brakes. And I'm going to guess this thicker 1/4 inch one is the one that goes to the rear brakes. But let's just do one at a time. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the other one out, and we'll go look at it on the bench. I just want to take this easy, make sure I don't screw anything up. So here's the one we just took out. Again, it's 9/16. I'm going to guess it's by 18. It's by 20. So the ABS size, this is number 3. So this is the one I just measured is by 20, and this is the one that was 18, and you can see the difference. But I think this might not be 9/16. So this is a 1/2 inch by 20. So let's get the measurements. We need 2 inches of metal, and that's 3/16. Then we have a flexible hose. I'm going to guess that's 7. Yeah, about 7. Then we go over 2.5 inches. Then we go up 3 inches. Then we go over 13 inches. And we come back down 2.5 inches. Now let's check this end. Looks to be 20. It's 1/2 inch by 20. So there we go. So here's my sketches so far. I got number 1, number 2, and number 3. And I've got them marked on the hoses as well. So everything's well documented, so I'll know how to put it back together again. So I'm in the right front wheel well, and this is that hose, metal hose that goes over and connects to that flexible hose. And it looked really rusty, so I'm thinking about removing it. Now this is the thinner line. I think it's 3/16. So I'm going to go under and spray some BB blaster on some of those fittings and see what I can do. So I'm going to cut this tie wrap right here, and that'll release that right hose that goes to the right front disc brake. And then I'm going to go back toward where it connects to the flexible hose that comes out of the ABS system, and spray some PB blaster and see if I can work those connections loose. So here's the 2 flexible hoses coming from the ABS, and they go right through that junction. On the other side, it's hard wire, hard line. So these are the last 2 hoses I took out of the ABS module, and the shorter one here has a 9/16 by 18 thread per inch thread on it. The slightly longer one here has a 1/2 inch by 24 fitting on it. And the other end have female fittings. And when you saw this in the just previous video, you saw these hoses kind of clamped into a bulkhead. So you basically saw something like this, whereas my hand was basically a frame member that you saw these butt up against. On the other side were these clips. We've seen these clips before, so they just
clip it right on. The trouble is I could not get vice grips in there, so the other ones I've taken off, I just attached the vice grips, wiggled them loose, and then pulled them off. But there's no way I could get vice grips up in there. So instead what I did, I had to make a special length tool that allowed me to get up against the clip like this and still give me enough room in the cramped position I was to use this hammer, and I'd use it sideways to knock that clip loose that way. But that got them off. So the other thing I did is the hoses that these connect to on the other side of that bulkhead were really rusty. So this is the one that goes to the right front, and I don't know if you could tell on the camera how rusty this is, but I took it out and I kind of show a little bit of that in the video. It's pretty obvious how to remove these. So I'm going to make a new one of these up before I put everything back together again. Probably reuse these fittings to make sure that everything fits. That's about it. So there will be a part 3, and part 3 will be going out to Lakeland to the shop that made the new ones up, then show how I put them back in. So that'll be part 3. 3 different videos just to put in front brake lines. It's crazy. Well, that about wraps it up. I hope you found the video interesting. Thanks for watching. If you found this useful, please like and subscribe. Bye.